Hey guys, I've never really been one to feel embarrassed about talking about things. The first event that I held about a year and a half ago for just over 100 people, we had the topic of vulnerability, and my opening comment out on stage to try and encourage everyone to be vulnerable was I told a story of the first time I ever had a mushroom experience, and having the addictive personality that I generally had around the time, instead of taking the advised 5 grams, I took 50 grams of mushrooms and got completely naked in front of 19 people and pissed on my best friend. You can look at it in quite a humorous way. Some people were quite disgusted, but for the 2 people involved, myself and my friend, we found it quite a beautiful experience. He was quite open to let me do what I needed to do on the day, and I was very thankful for him being there, and it opened me up to a whole new divine masculine and how guys can be there for each other. There's been a lot of talk about divine feminine over the past couple of years, and I think we have shifted back into that, but I think it is about balancing the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We have both of these characteristics within all of us, whether you're masculine or feminine. I think it's about balancing those energies and balancing your left and right brain hemispheres as well, so your conscious and subconscious. An interesting fact, people like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, their corpus callosum in between that splits the 2 hemispheres of the brain was very, very thick, which showed that there was a very balanced connectivity between the 2 brain hemispheres. So that's something I believe we're all working towards. And some of the things I want to talk about today, I'm going to tell a couple of stories actually. You can decide, you've got your own free will, which ones are true and which ones aren't true. I'm not going to tell you. But first of all, I wanted to start off with that 2.5 years ago, I pretty much lost everything. My house, my fiance, my daughter, my car, my business. And around 2.5 years ago exactly now, I didn't actually get out of bed for 3 days, and I was questioning who I was, what was the meaning of being here, what was the meaning of any of this being here. I didn't have any idea what the fuck any of this was about. It just seemed like one great big pointless mass of nothingness, and I took it upon myself to really go in deep and go on a whole self-discovery of finding out who I was. And I felt that I'd always been quite an intuitive person. My gut instincts were always quite right. I almost felt like sometimes I was predominantly psychic. I was very, looking back on it now, I know that I was very strong clairaudience and clairvisual as well. I used to get a lot of messages through audio. I used to get a lot of messages. I was very intuitive as well. And I made the decision to go and see a psychic, and it was amazing. I actually thought it was a bit of a wind-up, because some of the first things she asked me about, I actually had some questions to ask her. And the first 2 questions I had to ask her was that I felt that I'd been doing a lot of lucid dreaming and astral projection. And before I even asked her the questions, she told me I needed to go and talk to her husband, who specialises in astral projection and quantum jumping. And I hadn't even spoken to the friends I'd went to the event about. It was that I almost told her to fuck off, because I hadn't spoken to anyone about it, and that was the first thing she said to me. And it came out that I've been a very big lucid dreamer my whole life, and I've done a lot of astral projection, and I actually went away and studied this for 4 to 6 weeks. I went to Normandy in France for 2 weeks. I went to the French Pyrenees mountains and stayed out there for two weeks, and I've studied with some of the best teachers there are in the world with this specific subject. And this just showed me how we have various different types of bodies. We have a physical body, we have a mental body, an emotional body, and an energy body. And some people look at these in all different forms. We have souls. I mean, there's a term called Merkaba, and Merkaba means light, soul, body. And I have this whole theory, which I'm going to get into a story a little bit later on. But one of the things I did discover on my whole research that I've done over the last 3 years is that whether you look at the Bible, and I looked at the Bible, the Quran, the Judeo-Christian Bible, and I went back 5,000 years before that to ancient Mesopotamia, and there's a tablet of Kish. The tablet of Kish has got a very similar basic story as the Bible, and it was written 5,000 years before the Bible even existed. And then you've got the numerology, which again is years before the Bible was written. And then when you discover things like the Gospel of Thomas, which I think is the most profound and important teaching that there's ever been, in one of my opinions, and this was left out of the Bible, and it's predated 10 years before the oldest Gospel actually made it into the Bible. So for me personally, I started to question and think, why was this Gospel left out? Why was the Gospel of Mary Magdalene left out? And when you look into all the Gospels and see how they fit in, you'll start to build up a picture of why. And it's stories of how God isn't something separate from you. God is within you, and how you have this phenomenal creator power within yourself. You have the ability to heal. You have the ability to tap into these resources, almost like Google. When you punch something into Google and you want the answer and it comes back that quickly, if you're connected to the source powerful enough and pure enough, you can almost think of something or meditate on something and get the answer back. Now, I can do this, and my synchronicities, I've had up to about 20 in one day before, where I've asked a question, I've asked for someone I haven't spoken to for 2 years to get in contact with me, and all of these things start to happen because we're all connected. And when your body is tuned in, as I've mentioned before, your body is an instrument. It's a vibrational frequency emitting instrument. The law of attraction says that whatever you emit and whatever you think of or embody is what you will draw towards you. So if you're constantly having these negative thoughts and angry thoughts, you're going to draw negative and angry people towards you. But if you're constantly sending out love thoughts and sending out thoughts of looking after people, and the law of one states that we're all one anyway, so in my vision, why would you ever wish anything bad on anyone? Even if they've done something bad to you, just understand they're going through something in their life that you've probably been through, and when you went through it, you probably didn't want to talk to people. You was probably a bit angry with people, but everybody's on their own journey, everybody's on their own path, everybody's fighting a battle that you don't know about. So I just find that if somebody is a little bit angry with me, like someone cut me up in the car today, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was taking steroids, I got out of my car, smashed the window and tried to drag them out of the car. How do you think that's going to come back on me? That's going to come back on me really bad. Now, I'd just be like, they might be on the way rushing to the hospital, their girlfriend might be pregnant in the front seat. There's 1,000 different types of reasons why that person might have cut me up. There's not just the reason that they're an idiot and they're trying to wind me up. There's so many different realities, dimensions, timelines out there that you're not aware of. As I said yesterday, not everybody sees you as you see yourself. Your mum looks at you in a different way from your dad looks at you. Your boss looks at you in a different way from your co-worker looks at you. There's all these different versions of you out there, and all it takes is for you to tune into the vibration of one of those, and you can match it and go into it. It's not, when people talk of say time travelers or quantum jumpers, it's just a case of matching your vibrational frequency to something that already exists, or to a timeline, or to a thought. When you match your vibrational frequency to that, you can draw yourself into that. And I'll give you an example. As everybody would have had a day when they've got up and they've smashed their foot and they're thinking, fuck it, it's going to be one of those days, and then all of a sudden you'll switch it up and you'll change your vibration. You'll walk into a room and you'll be like, I'm the fucking man, and something will change and everyone will get on with you. You've just changed your vibration really quickly, and you've just jumped about 10 timelines into a different vibration. But you have got the choice to do this every single second of your life. And the more you stay on a higher vibration, the more you draw into a higher vibration, and the more you see this, your whole vibration becomes this, and everything becomes like heaven on earth. So one of the stories I wanted to get into today is, imagine a story where there's this race, and this race is a crystalline light body form. So it's an energy form, and they come to this planet, and it's a very, very low frequency dense planet. So when this high energy comes to this planet, their goal is to try and raise the vibrational frequency of this planet to love, to gratitude. But it is a very dense planet, and there's a lot of dense energies around. Now, in order to survive on this planet, they start to eat foods. They start to go from this crystalline light energy form to a carbon based form. And the more they eat food and the more they take on these denser energies, the more perceptible they are to taking in the negative energies. But predominantly they are light beings, crystalline light bodies. Now, I hope this makes sense and you're staying with me so far. But as generations go on, it starts to get twisted, and there's certain books written, to leave parables and to point people in the right direction. But these negative energies, it's a balance between yin and yang, and it's a constant fight, because the more carbon-based they become, the more negative energies can take into this carbon-based form. But this iron age happens, and every certain amount of years an iron age will come around, and the density of the planet will go, and people will start killing each other, and the whole vibration of the planet goes into a certain mode, kickstart. So there are certain bits of information and light language that are hidden away and put into certain things so that people don't destroy them, so that when the golden age comes around again, the light shines back on these messages, the light language starts coming through, and people start understanding it. Now, we've just come out of an iron age, and we're stepping into a golden age, and people are starting to wake up. Now, the resurrection they talk about in the Bible, Nikola Tesla will actually refer to the resurrection not as a resurrection, but a return to previous energy. Now, I believe the whole resurrection of Jesus and this and that wasn't about him dying and coming back to life. It was instead of being a resurrection, it was a change to previous energy. Now, Pythagoras, the numerology, the guy that invented numerology, and the great Gnostic teacher, and yeah, just an all-round amazing person, he actually wouldn't teach any of his students unless they'd fasted, because he'd say that they wouldn't understand what he was teaching unless they fasted. Now, one of the things I've noticed when I fast for long periods of time is my connection to source, and the information I receive and the answers I get are so quick, rapid, responsive, and so clear that the 25 people that have started to fast with me under my supervision, I've asked them to keep diaries, and they've all found that not only has their energy increased, but their perception and their awareness of energies has increased. So as I said yesterday, you start to become more aware of anyone who's negative around you. So as soon as a negative energy comes into the room, it doesn't matter if it's behind you, you felt that energy come in the room. So you can then decide whether you want to stay in the room. That negative energy probably can't come near you anyway, because I've had people get into the sauna with me, and me and a certain friend have noticed that certain vibrations of people will not hang around certain vibrations. But it's always interesting, if you feel a negative energy, I tend to try and start a conversation with someone, or sometimes I will feel as if I'm a negative energy around someone. It's not, I'm not saying that I'm some sort of hierarchy, or it happens to everyone. You're going to feel certain ways around certain people, but you become more perceptible, you perceive better of energies when you fast. Now, another thing Pythagoras worked out was numerology, and I don't know how many of you guys have actually done your own numerology, but before, when I was on a downward spiral, two of my mottos I used to live by was, one was absolutely nothing in moderation, which, as you can imagine, is pretty much any addict's motto. And the other one was, I have no time for patience. Patience is a virtue I don't have time for. Now, it'll come as little surprise to you that when I did my numerology, that the two main life lessons I have to learn in this reincarnation is moderation and how to be patient. So it did show me that there is a lot to numerology, and Pythagoras was obviously a very, very highly and well-respected person, and if he would make his students fast, I believe that everybody at some point should fast, because if you can control your eating habits to that extent, you can master just about anything. And when you master yourself, this is when you step into your true power. As I said to you, when you are step fully into your power, you are a co-creator. God, you are one with God. So you think of something and it almost instantly materializes. It's amazing how quickly things do start to come around, and you're only limited by previous self-beliefs and thought patterns, paradigms and programs that you've been taught over the years. And when you think about the people that have taught you these things, they haven't known any different, because we've always believed our forefathers and but when you go back even further in time to some of the stuff that's been covered up, you'll start to question things, and you'll start to do things out of the box, and you'll start to realise, hang on, I just did that, and I was told I couldn't do that. And that's how we're going to start going from being a mass nation of consumers into evolution again. So we're going to stop consuming and start evolving. I think this is a very, very big time that evolution we are witnessing evolution in motion as we currently speak. Now, I started to look into how some of these energies have been manipulated and controlled, and I mean, if you look over the years, some of these energies, the human body is, its vibrational frequency is very in tune. We're 72% water. If you look at frequencies and sound with water, you'll see that water takes very kindly to solfeggio frequencies. Now, Nikola Tesla said, if you find the keys to 3, 6 and 9, you have the keys to the universe. Now, in particular, all solfeggio frequencies, say 174, 369, 963, they all denominate down to 3, 6 or 9. That's why they're called solfeggio frequencies. Now, if you listen to any of these frequencies, and I tend to listen to all of them through the night, or certain ones through the night, your body almost feels, if you've got an ailment or an illness and you play these through the night, you'll wake up feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, recovered, restored. And even if you just repeat that phrase before you go to bed and play these frequencies before you go to bed, you'll be very, very surprised at how much better you will feel the next morning. Because your body's 72% water, these frequencies have an effect on water. Everything you think, say, speak is a frequency. Your body and your cells listen to what you do. So if you tell yourself you're strong all the time, if you keep repeating you're strong, you will get stronger just by doing that. Now, as I've shown, and I will post the studies if anyone wants to post the studies, but you don't even have to move and go to the gym to get stronger. You can actually sit in your chair and move your energy body. So if I was to do that with my arm constantly for the next 10 minutes, when I stop, it still feels like my arm's doing it. That's because your energy body is still moving. It still feels like it is. Now, if you was to sit down and imagine doing a bicep curl, so now I'm imagining mentally that my energy body is doing a bicep curl, studies have shown that you can have an increase in strength of 10.8% over a period of 30 days just from doing that without even lifting a weight. This is how strong the human body and the human mind is. So now when you start to put all these things together and you start to phase out all of the things that were introduced over several years. So TV and radio, I don't watch any TV and radio, but if you look back around the times of World War I and World War II, the broadcasting stations changed their frequencies from 432, which is a solfeggio frequency, to 440, which is actually, if you play it to water, it's a little bit out of sync. The human body doesn't really like it. So anytime you're watching TV or radio, whether it is a high vibrational frequency program or not, if it's broadcasting that frequency, it's still going to have a little bit of disresonance with you. So I don't watch any TV, but anything I do listen to, I tend to play through in one of those frequencies. Now, rubber sole shoes, this is something that's only been around for, what, the last 100 years, 80 years? Now, rubber sole shoes cut you off from the Earth's protons, neutrons and electrons. Now, if you spend 45 minutes a day bare feet on grass, your body actually gets a lot of protons, neutrons, electrons that it needs to clear inflammation out of your body. Now, when you have inflammation in your body, it's an energy blockage. Now, as I spoke of yesterday, energy blockages in any of your chakras, you have 114 chakras, 7 in the main energy wheel. When you start to get blockages in any of these chakras, say in your root chakra, that can actually have an effect on your sex drive. It can have an effect on quite a lot of things. If you get a blockage in your throat chakra, you can be someone that's telling a lot of lies. You can feel really, really uncomfortable speaking in crowds. You can feel very uncomfortable speaking your truth. Now, these different energy blockages, all depending on what you're going through and what your experience is, can show you where in your body you have a certain energy blockage, and then you can work on that energy blockage, because there's so many different ways you can clear these energy blockages, whether it's just from breath work. I mean, breath work is such an amazing thing that the first breathwork lesson I had out in Ibiza a couple of years ago, I was sitting by a swimming pool with my coach, and she went through 4 stages of breathwork with me, and I nearly passed out and fell in the pool. And she was like, "I'm glad you didn't, because I could never have dragged you out of that fucking pool." And I was like, let's just put it this way, if I'd have known how to do what you just showed me how to do, I would never have left my bedroom in my teenage years. I would never have touched a drug, because the euphoric feeling I had from doing breath work, and breath work can release DMT in the lungs, was more powerful and more profound than any experience I'd ever had on any recreational drug in my life. And that was natural. I hadn't done anything but taken breaths in a certain way. And as a human race, I think we're not taught how to breathe properly. The things we need to be taught how to do properly is to breathe properly, to meditate, to stretch our bodies properly. And these are all things that you would do to an instrument, to finely tune a piano, to finely tune, if you want to be sending out and emitting the right frequencies, vibrations and energies, then your body has to be in tune. Now, I have this vision when I'm working with my guides. Something I've been working on for the last 3 years is complete purification and detoxification of my body. If you read any of Gandhi's books, that's exactly what he did. I believe that our souls, our light bodies, our higher selves have slowly been edged out of our physical bodies. And we have times when they can come back in, but if you are to put certain vibrations, as in alcohol, as I mentioned yesterday, alcohol is a very, very low vibrational frequency thing. Alcohol in itself in Arabic means flesh-eating spirit. Gin, vodka, they're all spirits. There's theories that it makes your energy body weak. Eating meat is another example. Anything you eat that's had suffering within it, your soul is not gonna like that. It's not gonna put its energy into it, because harming another thing in the law of one is not acceptable. So if you want to fully embody your soul, higher self, light body, Merkaba, and this is what awakening is in my perception. Now this is me personally, and I'm not telling you what to do, or all I can tell you is my experience and what I'm guided and what I'm channeling and what I'm shown. But if you want to, and a lot of people already have fully embodied their Merkabas again, and once you fully embody your Merkaba, these low energies and these negative energies, whether you want to see these negative energies as greys, as certain alien life forms, certain ETs, certain demons, spirits, negative energies, as I said, you can look at these things as any perception you want to, whether it's scientifically in energies, whether it's spiritual in demons, whether it's extraterrestrials, whatever perception you want to look at it. I've got my way, you can have your way. It's all down to the own person. We've got free will, and free will is one of the laws that we have to live by in order to get on. And I believe that we have so many of these powers, gifts, talents and abilities that are coming back online for many people. I know people that are already experiencing them. But something that I've been shown is that the more people try to weaponize these, the reason the whole Antleyan times lost all of their gifts, talents, abilities and powers was because they started to use them for means outside of the spiritual laws. Now, when I talk about the Tablet of Kish, the Bibles, and even into books like the Law of Attraction and Who Says You Can't Do It, You Do It, and the 7 Steps of a Highly Effective People, the 7 Hermetic Principles, every single one of these books over the ages all contains the same information, and that is that you should treat each other how you want to be treated yourself. Do everything you can for the highest outcome, for the greatest good, for the greatest number of people, because if we're all connected, then it all serves each other for us all to look out for each other. Now when you start to do this, and this is the only way you're going to get access to all these gifts, talents, abilities and powers, is if everybody starts to do this. Anyone who tries to weaponize or use these gifts, talents, abilities for reasons that doesn't serve the one will not gain access to them. That's something that I have been shown, that's something I feel, and that's something that in groups when I talk to people that other people embody as well. And I'd like to put that out there for you to have a think about. But I think it's a very exciting time to be alive, and if you look into astrology, again, Pythagoras made all of his students learn about astrology, numerology. He obviously made them fast as well, and music. Now, it was not just Pythagoras that made all his students learn these certain things. I mean, Nikola Tesla, he actually said that he believed food was actually degenerative, it wasn't good for humans. And I think you're going to see in the next 2 to 3 years that food actually is the cause of a lot of illnesses, and it's so mainstream. 20, 30 years ago, people are eating 3 times a day. If you look into it now, people are eating 6 times a day. Now, your body needs 16 to 18 hours a day to rejuvenate and to recover. So even when I eat now, I will only eat in certain time frames. So I fast for at least 18 hours every single day. Now, your growth hormone is at its highest at around 4 o'clock in the morning. So you don't really need to eat first thing in the morning. Your hormone levels are pretty good. It's a really interesting one. I'd advise everybody to do their own studying on anything. Don't just take my word for it, because what you're guided towards and what your intuition takes you to could be slightly different from what I'm guided towards and what I am, because even though we are all one and we're all the same, there are going to be slight differences between everyone. But I believe we should all experience it, all try out these new things, and that's how we evolve, by stepping out of the box, trying these new things, and then going back to each other and saying like, oh mate, I just tried this and this really helped me. And then if that resonates with me, I instantly know that that's my sign, my intuition, my gut, and one of my brains telling me that that's something that will work for me, and I will instantly know it, because people are starting to use intuition again. They're starting not to just rely on this brain, they're starting to rely on the energy they're picking up and receiving from their heart, and that intuition they're getting from their gut. Because when you fast and your gut is clean, your intuition is so much stronger, because you don't have any of the parasites or any of the energy from the food being used to absorb that. To me, food it's a byproduct. Now, if I was to say that I believe that food gives you energy because it absorbs energy from the sun, so whether you're eating meat or vegetables or fruit, that is giving you energy because it has taken energy from the sun. So the highest energy and highest pranic prana foods are the ones that spend the most amount of time in the sun. So mangoes, pineapples, bananas, lemons, these are the highest energy foods you can eat. But then still it's a byproduct. So if you're a businessman, what do you try and, sometimes you try and cut out the middleman in order to go to source, because it's a purer version. So this is why when I'm fasting and when I'm coaching people in fasting, sun gazing is the most important thing every morning. To get up and do your 22-minute sun gazing, and then if you don't have enough energy, do it for the last 22 minutes at the end of the day as well. It makes such a huge difference in your energy levels, just that alone, even without the grounding, even without the affirmations, even without the sound frequency healing. So yesterday I started talking about aliens, and I felt really comfortable talking about it. Obviously I said I'm not one to shy away from talking about things to people now, because I did a lot of work on my throat chakra. I used to lie a lot. My human design is that I should be a very powerful speaker, and for years I was trapped in this hell of lying to people and feeling like I couldn't talk my truth. So I've done a lot of work on my throat chakra over the years, and I really want to talk about and help people. I'm very passionate about helping people that feel they're stuck in certain places. If you feel like you're going crazy at the moment, I just want to say to you that crazy usually precedes, or madness usually precedes genius. And that's happened so many times throughout history. And I'm not saying that people are going to say, oh, you think you're a genius. I don't think I'm a genius. But what I will tell you is the amount of timelines, dimensions and realities I've jumped from 2.5 years ago to now is phenomenal. And nobody can tell me any different, because I've changed my vibrational frequency and my energy so much from that point that it's almost like I have to look back at myself through a telescope just in order to see myself back then. Now this is the longest video I've done, and videos are going to start to get longer and longer, and they're going to start to get more out there like this, because in my vision, in my eyes, light language is coming through so fast now, and it's becoming more and more easier to translate. Whereas before, a lot of light workers are finding that you get this information but you don't know how to put it into words, because you feel it and you intuitively know it, but you can't quite put it into words because language is such a poor form of communication. People are starting to communicate telepathically now anyway. People are tuning into dolphin frequencies. I have certain people that I can just sit with at the moment that we don't even need to talk to each other, and we get up and leave a room together, and it's almost like I've actually spoken to that person. Now, people are going to start, some people will think this is this guy's definitely taken too much mushrooms, sniffed too much coke, whatever, he's just completely off his rocker. But there's going to be a lot of you out there that watch this and think, I'm not going crazy, I'm not going to go to the doctor, and I'm not going to start taking that schizophrenia medicine, because this is happening to quite a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the doctors and get checked out, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying to you, go with your intuition, talk to people, get out there, and we are vibrational frequency beings that need to be around other vibrations. If you just lock yourself up in a room, it's not good for you. If you Google the rice test, you'll see how they put 3 different types of rice, one by a front door where they speak to it and they say loving, beautiful words to it, one where they shout vile, horrible words to it, and one where they don't talk to it at all. Now, the one that they speak beautiful words to, it doesn't go mouldy after 3 months. The one that you shout vile words gets some mould in it, but the one that goes the most mouldy is the one that doesn't get any attention at all, because when there's no vibrational frequency there, that's when you start to go mouldy. That's when you start to. So get yourself out, talk to people. We hold groups sometimes. Currently, the guys that I started up a men's awareness group with do it every Thursday night in Homerton. If anyone's interested in that, send me a little DM. And me and 2 of my friends once a month hold an open mic night where you can come down and get drawn out of a hat, and you can just speak for 10 minutes about absolutely any bollocks you want to talk about. And everybody is open and ready to listen to what you've got to say. Nobody is judgmental. We're all equal there, and we all are going through the same thing together. And what you'll find is when you're in a room with other like-minded people, and the vibration when you leave, I come out of there as if I've just double dropped an ecstasy tablet and I can't sleep for 2 days, because the vibration you leave these events with is so high that when you leave, that vibration then multiplies and ripples out into other people, and it's great. As I said, I think the whole planet's going through a massive awakening at the moment. I hope this hasn't been too much for all of you, because they're only going to get worse from here. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Thanks for listening.